welcome everybody. Today we are here with Miss Jennifer Jones. She is one of the amazing skaters that you've probably seen some postings of her in YouTube. You've seen her coaching. She has the theatrical like ensemble production team that really is a lot of fun to watch if you haven't seen them. Posting different links to the different stuff. She is also amazing with makeup tips and hair tips. And so we've got a lot to talk to you about today, Miss Jones.
There's a lot. Yes, there's a lot to unpack.
All right, let's start off with for people who haven't really met you or haven't heard your name, I don't know why, but maybe we could tell a little bit about who you are, the Hawaii skater.
Why I'm around. Yeah. So my name is Jennifer Jones. As she so eloquently described, I wear many hats in the skating world. I am a coach, and right now I'm in Skate Town Ice Arena in Roseville, California. But most people met me when I was living and coaching in Hawaii. So there's often references to my background in Hawaii, but prior to that, I taught in Sweden and Colorado and North Carolina. So I've kind of used skating as a great catalyst for me to get out and see the skating world and meet a lot of different people.
That's
Very
wonderful.
So I
exciting.
have, yeah. So I have in here in Sacramento, I own the Blades and Brushes studio, which is predominantly just production makeup. So I worked on prior to COVID. I had a running segment every Tuesday on Fox News, our local Fox News affiliate. I did beauty segments, and I had a group called Synergy that was a group of four really amazing women in different fields, and we did makeovers for women who've gone through traumatic events and gave them makeovers inside and out. So I'm hoping I would like to resume that fraction of it at some point when we finally get over the COVID issues. But other than that, I teach full time in Roseville, and there I coach anywhere from 3-year-olds to 82-year-olds and all ages in between. I love it. I am definitely a child of the theatrical side of skating. I grew up in Seattle, Washington, started in 1984. That's really old, as my little ones ask if I was around during the Ice Age. I'm like, yeah, pretty much. um, but I started my journey there. I watched the 1984 Olympics, and at that time, our local hometown girl, Rosalind Sumners, was just absolutely captivating. I just the mint colored dress and spinning, I was sold and begged my parents to take me skating. So my mom and I started together. She dropped out of pre-alpha, but I continued on, and I just never got off the ice. I went straight through, competed. I did pairs and ice dance, singles for a while, and then found showcase skating, and that was the beginning of what would completely form the next 30 years of my life.
That sounds like a fantastic just resume, and all those experiences are wonderful. Wonderful. Just last year, didn't you and another skater come over to the Tampa area for showcase or
We did.
competition? Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
we did. Kelly McDaniels, she's a silver lady in U.S. figure skating with the adults. So I think we're class 3 now. We're same age. But we went to Tampa, loved it. What a gorgeous experience. And that was my, oh gosh, 18th trip to National Showcase. So I went in their inaugural year in 2004, before I skated as an adult. And that was just a amazing experience. And I thought, if I get to go once, that's at the top of my bucket list and I can retire. I did not know I would be doing it 18 more times. And it truly is a magical event. It is like no other event I've ever been to.
That's wonderful. So, I know that, like you said, you teach from littles all the way up to adults. What do you find are the similarities between littles and adults, but are there also differences between teaching the two age groups, especially if they've never skated before as an adult?
Yes, there is. And I will let you in on something that was shared with me early on in my coaching career. So I started coaching in North Carolina. And at that time, adult skating was just starting to come out. I believe the adult national championships was in maybe its second year at that point, or first year. So I had never heard of it. You know, growing up in skating in the 80s, if you were 18 and didn't join a show or hadn't made it to the Olympics, you were kind of done. You either had to be a coach or a professional skater, but there really wasn't anything for an adult skater. They were kind of on the fringe and skated on public sessions, and there really wasn't a place for them. And so I didn't realize that US Figure Skating had created this event. So when my first year coaching, I was told, funny story, I was told my first day by the director, oh, I'm going to have you go with the team to nationals. And, you know, mind you, I'm a 20-year-old brand new coach. And I'm thinking, wow, I get to take the team to nationals. So I walked into the ballet room where I was supposed to meet everybody. And there was all these adults. I assumed they were the parents. And proceeded to stand up there and say, it's going to be so exciting to go to Lake Placid. I can't wait to meet all your kids. And they kind of all looked at me strangely, and then informed me that it was the adult nationals. And I was like, wait, what? So that was my first time ever hearing it. And in the course of preparing this group, I was terrified because they were all older than me by about a decade. I didn't think they were going to listen to me, and I didn't want to break them. I think that was the biggest thing is I know many new coaches feel that adults, oh my gosh, they're going to break, they're scared. And so there's a lot of misinformation about adults as you come into coaching from the coaching side. So I went in and I had one of the ladies came up to me, and I think she was probably at the time, she was probably my age. Now I think of it, she's probably close to 50, but you know, to a 20-year-old, she was my senior. But she's like, sweetheart, you got to just treat us like or we're going to whine just like a 3-year-old. So it doesn't matter if we're 13, 35, 65, just tell us to shut up and do the skill. So they really embraced helping me learn how to coach them, and that, you know, each one is different. So I think the difference between teaching kids and adults is that more often than not, of course, kids love to come into the sport too, but when adults come into the sport, it is 1000% because they want to be there. There isn't a parent who's pushing them to be there. There isn't another significant part of their life that's making that a must be thing in their life. You know, adults are coming because they truly want to be there. And now the reason for being there is going to be as diverse as we have people. Some people are super competitive. They love the daily strive of trying to get a new jump or a spin. Some just like to do it for the thickness. Some are totally there for the coffee and free donuts on coffee day. But you know, it's really unique in a way because, you know, kids have a very small span of their life that we get to see them on the ice, and they eventually, you know, they kind of hit their teens and boys come into the scene, and we lose them to other interests and just growing out of it. But adults seem to stay in it longer, so I get to see them progress and these friendships grow, and it is just such a beautiful thing to watch the adult community come together. Every event, everybody is so supportive of each other, and it truly is what makes adult skating so unique from the kids event, where they're a little bit more, you know, you have the little the cliques and the, you know, different groups and levels, and it can be I'm trying to be PC here with this, but you guys get my drift.
For me, one of the best things about skating has been the friendships. So
absolutely,
it's what is your favorite part? Like, do you have a favorite event that you enjoy coaching?
Oh man, that is a tough question. God, you know, I really do love it all. I mean, I teach, of course, the freestyle and skating skills. Oh, I actually called it skating skills. 2 points for me. I'm not calling it field moves. I've been working on that. You know, the traditional track, of course. I still love teaching that because there is something about the precision of mastering these things, and they have to be so, you know, on a pattern, on a timing, and a placement. But I love the creativity that the theatrical side of our sport. So one, oh my gosh, that's like picking a favorite flavor of ice cream. They're all so unique. So my ensemble teams, I have 2 ensemble teams. I have a girls ensemble, and then I have my adults. and they take on these challenges, and it's so surprising to me when I came to them. For example, this season we put together a program to the musical Six. So we have our six queens and our king, and I introduced them to a chair. And if you've watched any of my chair videos, I very fit in them. I'm usually, you can find me spinning upside down, sideways, doing cartwheels off of them. So they looked with much shock and what are you going to make us do on these? So we took a 6 to 7 a.m. session with clear ice, and it was just us because it was our private ice time, and I just let them go. I'm like, spin, do your thing, get it out of your system. And we had a fun day learning how to spin on chairs. But I think it's mastering these new skills that don't come in a rule book. You know, you're not, as an adult skater, you probably don't come in thinking I'm going to be in a crown and a regal costume spinning upside down on a chair. That's probably not what you thought coming into the sport. But I feel blessed that I have a really amazing group of adults that just, they take it all. They may roll eyes and go, oh my God, Jennifer, but they do it, and they do it well. The ensemble just won their 4th gold medal this last weekend. So they've done amazing, and I couldn't be more proud. And they are a mix. They're not, they range from a freestyle 2-level skater, ISI, like a pre-bronze, up to someone who was a previous like senior lady at one point in her career, and all things in between. So we kind of really have the entire color of medals there to represent all levels and ages. But they do have a lot of fun. But yeah, I think the whole process of getting them ready for competition is something I love. It's the, thinking conceptually how I'm going to put these programs together, and especially when we have our big theater team, because I don't do it where everybody's the same age or same level. I put them all in one pot, add glitter, and go for it. And they are amazing. And I know my colleagues thought that was nuts last season, bringing a aerial trapeze onto the ice and mixing 3-year-olds and 68-year-olds and seeing if that would all come together. But we skated to The Greatest Showman, and we had literally a circus. I was proud to say, these are my monkeys, this is my circus. And it was magical. And I think what was really cool to see is, the kids sometimes will talk to the adults in the rink, but not really. They kind of hang in their own area and their own friends. And this forced them to work together and be supportive of each other. And I would see the kids getting so excited when they'd see the adults come on, and they would rib each other and go back and forth. And in fact, last season, we had an in-house holiday competition, and my 2 ensemble teams, our director said, well, technically we wouldn't put them together because of their age. And I'm like, oh no, put them against each other. This will be fun. So it was my Sugar Plum Fairies against my Sexy Santa girls. And the adults won. And so the Sugar Plums are on a revenge course this season.
Oh,
yeah. So they are just magical. It really is something so unique. And I think fostering that as a coach is important too, that everybody's there for different reasons, and just seeing each other, the support is amazing. And one of the best comments out of that last season is one of my little 10-year-old girls looked up and she saw the adults out skating, and she's like, I'm going to be able to do this forever. And just the look in her face was like, oh.
That is the best.
That was, to me, worth all of the headaches and the 6 a.m. wake ups and trying to, get 23 people on the same schedule in the rink at the same time. Because as adults, we know our schedules are not like a 9-to-5 deal.
Right. Yes.
So it was hard. But if that's the message that I'm letting my younger ones see, that it doesn't end when you're 18, and it doesn't end because you don't have a triple axel by the time you're 10. You have an avenue in the sport. There's a place for you. It doesn't matter how old you are or what age you are or what your height, your weight, your ethnicity, your sexual orientation. You're accepted, loved, and all are welcome on the ice. So I love that message.
That's
so important.
Yes. I started at Skate Town. I started skating when I was 28. And so
oh wow.
Yeah, I moved away 5 years ago, so it's really exciting to still see what's happening there. And I'm a little
Yes.
jealous, to be honest, because
Well, come on back. You guys come
right?
visit.
But no, it's super super exciting. So now to go more towards like the makeup aspect and uh performing on ice, whether it's in a theatrical number or just in a competition as a solo competitor, um being a judge and a coach, like what advice do you have for people? Because I know some adults are like, well, I'm just makeupless, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Like what do you think is important from like a judging standpoint as far as like the whole overall package plus the skate routine as well?
Right. So I often, when people come to me, of course, as a professional and ask me this, I'm like, think of it this way: you're putting on what is essentially a short version of a ball gown or a formal gown. You're, wearing something that's low cut off the sleeves, has beads all over it, and you're out there performing. So if you are only dressed for stage from the neck down, it's you kind of lose the illusion of this performance, right? So I always say boots to roots. It's got to be a whole cohesive look. So
I love
I
that.
get on my kids for that, because they'll do the full makeup and they'll have the dress and then they put their ratty scent morning bun in, and I'm like, oh, you're killing me, Smalls. So um yeah, you have to think of that whole package, because when people are watching, and it doesn't matter if it's a technical program or you're at National Showcase under spotlights, you want to present yourself as if the ice is a stage. So ask yourself, would I go on stage at Broadway looking like this? So that's number one question is, you want to look as you should be performing. And if you are doing something theatrical, then it actually affects your score. So if you're trying to portray a character and there's nothing on the face, you can't see the facial expressions. So makeup, yes, it does a lot of things, but when you get under spotlight, so specifically speaking under show or theatrical lighting, you're going to lose 60 to 70% of your color the minute that spotlight hits your face. So like the makeup I'm wearing today, although it looks fine, I'm probably in close up and I've got my HD lighting on me. But I know I had to put all these lights in when I worked at Fox News, because I'm like, what I looked like on camera, I was like, oh, I need more light in the room. But you have to look at what kind of lighting you're under. So again, that light, that bright, intense spotlight and a white ice, you lose all of it. So when you're trying to portray facial expressions and you're trying to look, longingly or laughing or smiling, your face and your cheeks and your eyes all just become this one monotone color. So makeup gives you the ability to make those features stand out, so that when you are moving your mouth or you are opening your eyes or showing expression, you actually see it and it doesn't look like you've been ice Botoxed and there's nothing there because you can't see the color. So yeah, and you don't have to be a professional makeup artist. You can go to any of your, oh gosh, you don't have to go to the mall anymore. YouTube is like a treasure trove of things to look at. But contouring is of course, everyone knows about contouring. Thank you, Kim Kardashian. But contouring is a big one because it'll actually bring your cheeks out, so you don't just have this blob of blush on your cheeks. So it gives some dimension to it. Highlighting allows you to move your face in and out of spotlights, but still have some light that reflects off of it. So learning how to kind of manipulate makeup to work towards your character or whatever type of emotion or feeling you're trying to portray on the ice is such an integral piece of the performance. And especially if you're doing an actual character, if you're going to do Madame Butterfly and you have to do a geisha or you have to do any sort of character work, then you might want to employ someone like myself that can sit down with you and find out where you're performing it. Is it going to be under regular rink lighting, or is this under theatrical lighting at National Showcase? Because those do change what you're doing as far as your makeup goes. But yeah, it is a big piece of it. And if you go to National Showcase, you'll see a lot of the bigger theatrical communities actually employ a makeup artist and a hairstylist that follow them and do the whole team's makeup and hair. So I'd always tell my team, you guys lucked out. You got you got the coach and the makeup artist built in.
Right.
But they're cheating. But it makes such a huge difference in that overall look. And you feel better. Like when you have your makeup on, you just feel like, okay, I'm pretty fly right now. I'm ready to go, get in front of the judges and show my things off. So if you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you're more calm. And, all of that plays into the mental part of our sport, which sometimes is 99% of it.
Very true.
Yeah.
So for, let's say, the typical skater who's going into just rink lighting, what are some
Yes.
do's and don'ts that, like, I've seen some, we talked about the no makeup is a don't. From the judging stand, you're sitting there, you really need to see them. You explained that well, but
right. So one aside from not wearing any makeup, one of the biggest things I see, and this is on and off the ice, but it's more prevalent when I see it on the ice because you're, lifting your head up, is failure to blend into the neck. So most people's necks, just because the way our heads sit, unless you are, in a position where you're looking up all the time and your neck gets the same color, your bottom underside of your chin is going to be significantly lighter than your face. So when you are looking at yourself in the mirror, so put your costume on at home and take a look at your costume. So like if I was wearing something like this, although I would never without mesh, but if you have something where your chest is open and exposed, you want to look to make sure, are those colors matching up? Because if they're not, get that like 3-toned line where you got the face that you've over bronzed. So that is another makeup don't, is your bronzer is not a setting powder. So if you're trying to get a little more glow onto your skin, not with bronzer. Bronzer replicates what the sun has done. So if you ever want to know how to do bronzer, just find a picture of yourself when you got a little bit too much sun on the vacation and you get a little bit of that kind of across the bridge of the nose, a little bit on the forehead, a little bit on the chin. That's what a bronzer should do. It should just be look like you're sun-kissed, not like you got baked. So you also want to, like I said, make sure that when you are doing contouring, that's another mistake people make, is they'll go in with their contour brush, look straight into the mirror, do the contour, and they're only going here. So they just left this much of their contour off. So when they turn, there's this, the illusion of the nice high swept cheek all of a sudden stops right there. And now you look like Pinocchio with the marionette mouth. So make sure you do, I call it the microwave turn, do the little turn in the mirror and get your camera going and make sure that the illusion is complete. So you don't lose the lines in the makeup. But yeah, that's a big one. Getting the correct foundation is a big one. So if you are unsure, do not do the psychic guess at CVS and go, I think that's my color. So that is best left to a professional, or if you just happen to hit the jackpot and that is your color, that should be it. But we change color seasonally. So, make sure too, if what you competed in August is probably not what you're going to have in February. So just be aware that we do change color, and you want to, make sure you have foundations that replicate that as well. Lashes are a great way to get your eyes to be nice and open. So like I have I use these for my brides all the time. They're a basic Ardell lash, super simple. And that's one of the questions I get too, is a lot of people are like, I don't know how to put these on. They look like 2 dead caterpillars. I don't know how to do it. So best thing, buy a cheap pair, get on Amazon, buy one of those little sheets of 20 lashes, find a Sunday afternoon when you have nothing better to do, make sure your eyelids are perfectly clean. And when you rip those off from the packing, they already have kind of a sticky adhesive that holds them into the packing. So you can use that to practice putting them on and they're not stuck there. So you're not pulling glue on and off. And you usually have to trim them. So if you're lucky and you have that perfect shaped eyelid and you can just go right out of the box to the eyelid, yay you. But you want to make sure that it fits, end to end, or if you're doing the little end ones, those work great too. But lashes are a great way if you're not a big makeup person and not into the eyeshadow. You can put one color over your lid, put lashes on, and you've got a nice open eye look that doesn't require a whole lot of skill set. But Lips are another one. You want to make sure you have a color you can see. Like right now, I have a very nice nude lip on. If I wore this on the, I look like I have no face at all. So do not be afraid of red, guys. Red looks amazing. It is a classic in Broadway for stage. Even the guys wear red. So find a nice matte red. I love my personal favorite is Ruby Woo by MAC. It is my go-to. You want to try to stay away from anything glossy, because if you do have your hair in a ponytail, that's also turns into a horror scene really quick. If you spin and it goes across your face and I see red streaks, I've seen it. It's not cute. So matte is best. And even take a little bit. One of my tips with that is somewhere over here. It's too far away from me now. I'm in my studio right now, but everything is sort of out of reach. But if you get a like loose powder, you can take that, and then once you do your lipstick, is just take the powder on a fluffy brush, apply that all over the lips. You're gonna look like you just ate a powdered donut. It's okay, let it sit for a minute, blot, and then just brush it away, and that will keep it from transferring. Because of competition, of course, we're hugging people and we're constantly drinking out of water bottles and this kind of stuff. So that kind of helps set it so it won't go anywhere. And you get a beautiful lip for everyone to see. So lips, lashes, contour, if that's your basic, that will get you through.
Nice.
That's awesome. Contour.
Sorry about the jokes.
No. So you have your your foundation. How many shades did you go for contour or highlighter? Like, is there a formula or?
That's a good question. So there are many, there's many of these. This is Max. I don't know if you guys can see that one. The emphasize that right there. Yep. So they come with all sorts of different colors. So these, of course, are the highlighters up here. These are going to be more of your contour. So you want to get something that is matte. That is another thing you want to watch for. So contouring and highlighting. Contour, you're trying to create a shadow. So you don't want it to reflect, no bronzers, or if you are using a bronzer, you want more of a cool tone. So bronzers tend to be more warm. So more of a cool tone, because you're trying to create the illusion of the cheeks being sucked in, like you've had the buccal fat taken out. So what you don't want to do is get something that's super shiny or has a lot of red in it, because then you're just going to have these two racing stripes down your cheek. And like a good contour, someone should be like, oh, did you lose weight? Not nice contour. If the drag queens are complimenting you, your contour is too dark, girl. So it should be natural gradient. So you want to get something, as you can see, like I wore this one, and you can see with my skin tone, it's like right there. I don't know if you can see close up in the camera. But this is one I always tell people, test it out. Like get a Q-tip or have somebody at a makeup help you find the right contour, because that is probably the hardest thing to do, just guessing, unless you have someone who is the same skin tone as you, that's like, oh, I've got a color I love, this is it. Go for it. But yeah, usually about 3 shades darker is a good go. Now your highlighters, those can be matte, but I like for skating, I like something that's got a little more shimmer to it. So these can be placed just where a spotlight hits you. So if you stand in your bathroom mirror and you look in the light, you're going to see natural white light hit like the bridge of your nose, the top of your head, the tops of your cheek, your chin, your Cupid's bow. So wherever light hits you, that's where you're going to highlight. So again, you don't want to go all over the face. It'll make you look sweaty. So you want something that is going to reflect. Yes, I have seen that mistake too. So you don't want to highlight the entire face. Just highlighting like highlighting is just certain places and peaks on the face, and that will give you that beautiful illusion as you turn. You've got the JLo glow going, and it's really quite beautiful when it's done correct. So if you think of it in terms of like Neapolitan ice cream, so you have the chocolate, the strawberry, and the vanilla. So contour is your chocolate, your strawberry is your blush, and your vanilla is your highlighter.
I like that.
That's perfect.
You're getting the Cliff Notes of version of my makeup tips here.
Right? Yes.
One of the other things I really love are the, when people buy, we all have palettes, right? Everyone goes and buys a palette. You get these great colors. You're like, yeah, you get them home. And there's one color that you just obsess about and you use all the time. and you get to the palette and it's like dead. You hit pan, and you haven't even touched this one down here, right? We all have that palette at home where one gets all the love in the world and the other one's like, I'm not wearing that until the 80s come back. Right? So Mac has these, and I love this idea. So you can buy the empty eyeshadow palette. And so it comes with this little frame, so that goes inside the palette. So you buy the eyeshadow like this. It's just the
nice.
shadow, not the packaging. They sit on tiny little magnets, and then you just pop them in. So when I am out of this color, I can just replace it with that and not replace the whole palette. Or in the case of me going to National Showcase, I've made my rainbow palette. So when I go into the interpretive room and I need to create whatever music they've given me, Tweety Bird to Tchaikovsky, whatever it is, I can mix, and I just have that one little small thin palette that's really easy to transport with me. So those make it infinitely easier.
Awesome. You're giving us a lot of great tips.
There's some fun stuff.
So for any skaters who are afraid to compete or do shows, what advice do you have for them?
Oh man, yes. So if this is your first time competing and you are terrified, one of the best things you can do, and I do this for my skaters, is start doing like pretend skating competition days. So have them wake up, put on their costume, do their makeup, go through the whole routine as if it is a competition day, drive to the rink. I'm going to try to get them, get those nerves going just like it's a real competition day. So when they arrive, we go through their off ice warm up. We, do, okay, skaters, you have 5 minutes in your warm up. They go out, they do their warm up, play the music. You do that enough and you can kind of get them, get over some of the nerves. One of the other things we do are exhibitions. So if you go to your local rink and say, hey, I'd like to do an exhibition. Can I do one before one of the public sessions? Or, if there's a slow day before skate school, would I be allowed to do it? Most rinks I've been in are pretty nice to allow a skater to do something like that if you have a competition coming up. And it's a great way to kind of get in front of an audience, but not in front of judges. Also, if you have the opportunity to join any ice shows, if your rink or your local skating club has an ice show, yearly Christmas show or spring show, you can join a small group and do something. That is a great way to go in. You got your friends with you. And that's how I've got many of my adults into competing, is like, hey, come join and do this competition with us. And then they get sucked into it. And next thing you know, they're signing up for all 6 events.
Nice.
Those would be my my best tips for getting over that, and just remembering that you're here because this is actually fun. you want to be here, and don't forget to breathe. It's such a magical experience, and you don't want to waste it being nervous.
Yes. You mentioned earlier about the mental aspect is like 99% of the skating, and I know I definitely get mental blocks on certain things. What do you
absolutely
tell your skaters when you know they can do it, you've seen them do it, but like that mental block has been just so prominent that they just can't seem to get past it?
Yes. So mental blocks, depending on the skater and what the skill is, I mean, it's like, to kind of give you a general overall, I think it's difficult. But when I approach those, I look at first what's causing the fear, because it's the fear that's something traumatic happened. You have a skater that fell on a mohawk, so they don't want to do a mohawk again, or they took a bad fall in competition on their loop jump, and now they're like doomed to ever complete this element again. So a lot of it is going through the order of things, like, okay, you are going to fall on the loop jump. It's going to happen probably. I mean, I probably could still fall on a loop jump. It happens. We're on ice. It's blades. It's part of the sport. So it's kind of facing the fear and then breaking it down. Like, okay, you're going to fall. It happens. And what do you do when you fall? You get up. Hopefully we get up, right? Hashtag we get up. If it's fear of, getting out in front of an audience and it's, you're self-conscious about what, pick any of the lists that we draw from that make us nervous. I think it's going back and remembering why you started this. Why am I here? You know, that's the big thing, because if you get too caught off in the reads about all the things that could go wrong, you need to think about all the things that could go right. So it's reframing how you approach whatever it is you're gonna have a fear over, because every skater has fears. I mean, you can take any Olympian and they're going through the same thing you are. It doesn't matter if you're trying to do a single twizzle or a triple axel, you know, everybody has natural fears that hold them back in some capacity. So I think it's just, you know, give yourself a little grace. It takes time, and you got this far. So if you're out there on the ice, that in itself is such an amazing accomplishment. Having your support system, and that again goes back to this unique thing that we have with the adults. We're so more just in tune with each other than, you know, the kind of the day-by-day stuff we have with our coworkers perhaps. But skaters, we go through these trials and tribulations every couple of months, so we're all kind of on that train together, and being able to have that camaraderie and that ability to support each other. And you know, I can speak with my group, you know, they go through everything together. In fact, we just had one of our dear friends get diagnosed with breast cancer earlier this week, and we just banded around her. It's like, we've got this, we're going to kick cancer's butt together. We got this. And I love that, because that is what I think it should be. You know, it's a sport, yes, but at the end of the day, when we walk away, the medals on the wall are pretty, but it's the memories we take home, and it's the friendships we walk away with that are the most important. So, you know, build your tribe around you, and you know, don't think you have to face the competition. They're scared too. They're like, are you scared? And you're probably going to get, yes, girl. So knowing you're not alone in it is a big help. And I think skaters, you know, looking back in the stands and seeing their friends cheer them on and be just as happy to celebrate with them in victory as to say, okay, let's go get a margarita. That was
Yes.
that was a Zamboni ride across the ice. You know, that's, I think, probably one of the important things in is just, you know, build that system around you that supports you, loves you, and through the good and the bad.
Dealing with, for yourself, skating, because you still skate, right?
Yeah, it's been very interesting. I mean, I've kept a journal every day of my life since I was 8 years old. And
Wow.
that is probably my most prized possession of all, is to go back and, you know, pick September 11th and open it up and go through 1984 and 1996 and what was I doing in 2001. And it's very interesting, because you can see how my mind changed from when I was competing as a child as to what my focus was as an adult. So yes, you would see the focus as a child being, oh my gosh, I have to win, I have to land this jump, I have to get this combination, I hope my partner doesn't drop me. You know, these type of things were the at the paramount, or my coach is going to kill me if I don't, you know. It was very driven on external factors and what external people were going to react to me either doing or not doing a skill well, and less on my own personal, like, yay, I landed it, but mom and dad are going to be happy, and the coach is going to be happy, and so I found, as I started to transition and it was my sport and I took control of it, I didn't have that external noise in my background. It was like I could just do everything the way I wanted to do it. And there is something very freeing about that. But your phone just died, but we'll see. So yeah, there was a change, and it came slowly, but I would say like the biggest change was in 2007, when I was in that weird position between, okay, I technically can skate senior, but I really should be in masters now, because I'm standing here with girls that I could technically be their mother. You know, it's like there was that kind of like, this is awkward, and not that age should ever play a factor in it. So go girls who are in senior, you know, still doing it with the young ones. God praise you. But I kind of came to a point where it's like, okay, I would like not to have to skate such a long program. Number one, I'm not at spring chicken anymore, so the music going down, but the stories I felt I wanted to tell, the different characters I wanted to portray were not that of a 20-year-old. You know, I've been through things. I've you know, seen and traveled and done things, and there's different stories I want to tell that I felt would fit better with the adults side of skating. And so there was a lot of changes that took place physically and mentally. Of course, I was not my little 14-year-old lift self that could, you know, take the falls and be lifted effortlessly over the head. But I think as each kind of decade, I've grown to accept, okay, maybe we're not going to do Beelmans anymore. My body just is not meant to do that. Or we're not going to, you know, I have a picture of it. That's good. And I have to be okay with the picture of it because we're not doing that again. So I've just learned to appreciate where I'm at when I'm at that point. And if I'm injured and if it hurts, I can take a step back, get better, get back on the ice. And I'm a lot more accepting of myself the older I get. That this is, you know, my grandmother used to tell me, you can only paint with the colors God gave you. So don't whine if you didn't get chartreuse. So, I have to look at it that way. I can paint with the colors I have, and hopefully it's a pretty picture and people enjoy watching it. So I think that's probably the biggest thing, is just enjoy the moment where you're at. And I kind of took this season back. I mean, I got drafted by my own team because I was the alternate for my adult ensemble. So I kind of got sucked into that one a couple of times when we had girls that couldn't compete. But I kind of took this season to just get my ice theater together and get everything going well. And I had some health issues earlier in the season with my back, so I kind of had to take care of those. But I think that's the biggest thing, is like, you know, when you need to take time for yourself, you know, you have those days you're like, oh, I should be training, and you're like, no, I'm gonna sit and have my coconut latte, and that's okay.
Yes.
So
Yes. Self-grace is very
the
important.
self-care is a yes, and it's hard because, you know, just as females, we, you know, have that tendency to, I can do everything, I'm Wonder Woman, and it usually comes at the cost of our health. So I've been very cognizant of that and tried to remain aware that, okay, yes, you do have to breathe and sit down once in a while. You can't be all glitter and ice skating 24/7.
Well, and you are not, because I know that you've also started a new path with your aviation lessons.
Yes.
So do you feel like
Yes.
what you figure skating, has that helped you with these aviation lessons, or and what's for
Yes, getting my pilot's license has definitely been very humbling, to say the least. In fact, I told my pilot my pilot who's telling me, oh, I need to make a right bank, and I'm like, okay, and I always have to repeat what he says. I'm like, right 3 turn. I mean, so I keep referring to my turns as 3 turns. Stop doing that. But it's, you know, I think whenever you challenge yourself with learning a new skill, whether, you know, it makes me very aware of when I have skaters that are brand new, because I have 2 brand new adult skaters who are just starting out, and, you know, they struggle with forward crossovers, and this is impossible, and how will I ever get there? And I'm like, it'll happen. One day you're going to be flying around the rink and you're going to be complaining why you can't land your waltz jump, and then the next week it's going to be, I can't do my camel spin. So there's always going to be something in front of you. But in learning and watching them learn and struggle with these beginning, you know, fledgling steps onto the ice, I was reminded of myself flying. I'm looking at this instrument panel going, are they really entrusting me to put this actually over people's houses and cars? I want to like warn the greater Sacramento area. But it's been a, you know, you just take little pieces at a little time, chapter by chapter, and, you know, you make your mistakes and you learn and you go on, and it's been very rewarding. I've been very excited, and my students are all chirping in that they think they're getting free rides to Santa Rosa now, but I will have to log a couple more hours before I'm bringing anyone in the plane. But it has been a fun adventure, because clearly, you know, I need one more thing in my life to balance out the chaos. But it's
I know
something
exactly what it's all about.
right. So I was definitely the black sheep of the family, because everybody was pilots and I was the figure skater. So my father is very excited about this endeavor. So
That's awesome.
it will be fun to go up and fly with him one of these days. I think anytime we have an opportunity to reach out and talk to our adult skating community is such a gift, and I look forward to seeing everyone at local competitions and definitely watching. As I said, well, I want to see these unboxing videos.
Appreciate all the time that you and all the information. That was a lot of great information. And
Like I said, I've got an amazing group of oh gosh, I think there's probably like, I'd have to count them, but I want to say there are probably like 26 of them total.
awesome.
So you see the competition ones, but I have twice a week I do an adult edge and artistry class. So we get out, and it's kind of a mix of Zumba on ice and Pilates and stretching, and we kind of mix it up every week and focus on different core exercises and spirals. And sometimes we have interpretive day, although that terrifies some of them. They have fun. But yeah, it's a really, I cannot be more happy with the group I have, and it's been so fun to watch their progress, and can't wait to see what they're going to do this next season.
Thank you so very much, Jennifer.
You are so welcome. Well, you guys have good luck with your new company, and we will see you at the rink.
Great, thanks.
Thank
Bye.
happy skating.
Bye. Happy skating.
Bye.